Give it a second. All right, I think we are live on today's show at 12:30. Ryan, are you able to confirm from your end? Yes, we are. So everybody, every day we've had new different kinds of guests that have come on here. Some really powerful people in our local space, and tomorrow we have Alan Dom coming on, and everybody's looking around for some insight as to what's going on in the market right now. But this gentleman that we have on right now is a little different because you don't live in our marketplace, but you have a huge influence on it, which is what caught my eye over probably like 2 or 3 years ago. Okay. And so anybody that you've probably seen your picture, Mark Evans. So appreciate you having on your show, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you guys for having me. How are you doing today?
Good. And I just want to kind of give some background to some of the people that are watching, because we'll have quite a few people, be hundreds of thousands of people in our local market that will see this. And so Mark, I'll just give the personal background. I had some friends and acquaintances in the business that were at certain levels of their business that all of a sudden within like a 2 or 3 year period for maybe I don't know the years, I'm going to get this wrong, like somewhere between 2009 and 2015, right? Somewhere in there. All of a sudden these guys made huge marks in our market space and became household names in the real estate industry. And I'm like, man, what did he do? I was like, how did he scale his business like that? And then the next guy pops up, and the one thing a common factor they all kept having was a guy named Mark Evans. And I'm like, who is this guy? So, and then I Googled you and I looked up, and I'm like, everybody's like, he's squared away, he knows what he's doing. And I'm getting this from big players in our space. So, I mean, I looked you up, Mark, and I know you had some businesses that you've grown, you'd sold things. But really your skill set isn't really the widget. Your skill set is building a business and helping others do so. Can you elaborate on that path? So I have a clear vision. Anybody watching this has a clear vision as to how you've done what you've done or gotten to where you've gotten to.
Yeah, man. No, thank you for having me, guys. First and foremost, I'm excited to be here. I know we've been trying to do this for a minute, so thank God for the quarantine. It's allowed us to connect more.
Locked everybody down, man.
Yeah, but no, I grew up in small town Columbus, Ohio area, hour east of Columbus. My mom and pop grew up to a trailer court till I was 10 years old. So my family worked so hard. They're mules. We're mules to the core. You know what I mean? So it's great, hardworking people, and discovered, hey, I'm never going to work for anybody. So I've never had a real job my whole adult life ever, except if I don't kill it, I don't eat, and I'm definitely eating. So 18 years old, bought a seamless gutter company, was doing gutters, and met a guy smoking cigars, driving Porsches, paying me in cash. I was like, what do you do? How are you able to do this? He's like, I do real estate investing. So I'm like, that's what I'm going to do. And I realized real estate's the equalizer of dummies. I don't care if you're smart, rich, not rich, dumb, whatever, you can succeed and make money in real estate. But for me, it was also, I almost went bankrupt twice in real estate because I was buying wrong, doing wrong stuff, managing my own properties. I wasn't running a business. That's really what it come down to. I was doing it. I was working like a maniac, 18, 20 hours a day, literally 7 days a week. But I didn't have any systems. I didn't have any processes. I did everything myself, because if I don't do it, it doesn't get done. That's what I used to tell myself. So 2005, December 31st, 05 to be exact, I actually left Columbus, Ohio to take a 1-month trip that turned into a 7-year trip around the world. Me and my girlfriend, now my wife, we traveled the world. We did all kinds of amazing stuff. U.S., we traveled. U.S. is huge. You could travel many years just in the U.S., but we traveled everywhere, and it forced me to get tighter with operations, build business, hand things off to good people, hand things off to people that are not so good. And just really had to figure it out, and created some massive constraints where I either had to learn or I had to come back home and actually do the work.
Well, I mean, there's a lot. So that's a good short version of it. But, there's some magic skills in here, because it's not, I built several businesses myself, and I've definitely made my mistakes along the way and things that I've learned. But how does a guy like you come into a relationship with a guy in my marketplace that, was not in a scalable position, and shift his brain so in such a fashion that not only does he grasp the information you've given him, but then execute on it? How take me through how you give that information to somebody else, or the Cliff Notes version, obviously, because it's sure.
Yeah, man. I really think at the end of the day, it's timing for all parties. One beautiful thing about the internet, you found me via internet, I'm assuming, and then we connect. I genuinely do care about people. I'm not saying other people don't, but I'm here, I'm listening to them. I'm not emotionally attached, as we all are in our own businesses, right? It's this is the way it is. It's no, it's not. This is the way it is. You're just too close to it. You can't see it. So it's very easy for me to navigate it, not because I read a book, because I've been exactly where they're at. I know the emotional problems they're having. I know the financial constraints they got. I mean, depending on the business they're in, I've been there, done that, or I could bring in experts that's been there, done that to help them get out of there quickly. The truth is, honestly, Ian, the people I work with are going to be successful no matter what. It's not a matter of that. It's just the question is, how quickly do they want to take the short path to get bigger, or do they want to take the short path, the longer path? There's no right or wrong. It's where do you want to be? It's, again, timing, because my services aren't free. So, there's a big investment. It's $35,000 a year for my mastermind. And, when these guys pony up, when they pay attention, and it changes the game, man.
That's really true. So I think about okay, so the financial commitment, a lot of people go, oh my gosh, $35,000. I can tell people watching this right now, there's a whole lot of other programs around and things that you can go into. And this is not an advertisement for you, but because I'm just telling it as it is. The guys that made marks in our space that were involved or in your program have it's not $35,000 was a drop in the bucket at this point.
Oh, yeah.
So, and there's a lot of them. That's the thing. It wasn't just one guy. I got 3 or 4 guys that have been around you that are real movers and shakers in our space, which was really what caught my eye. It's not just so. Do you still do that? Are you still involved with that? Because as we talked before, you have multiple businesses now, and the stuff I can find online. Yeah, I did my due diligence on it, but there's not enough. So what encompasses you right now?
Yeah, no, man. Listen, I have a thing called the DM family, the Dealmaker family, right? We have 33 guys in there. We have a waiting list of people who want to join. I don't want to do more than 33 because I can't do it. It is it's a time constraint for me. It makes dollar for dollar value. It's the least valuable thing I do with my day, but it's the most rewarding as well. So that's why I love it. The guys in the group I care about, I think about, we make a lot of money together. We laugh, we cry, we push, and we can talk openly. It's it's a brotherhood is really what we've created in there. It's a group that exists that I wish existed when I was in the game in the beginning. So it's very fun for me. So I got guys paying a lot of money to be there. I'm showing up, they're showing up, and we're making moves.
Yeah, 33 is an interesting number. That's a lot of secret society numbers in there. I mean, it's kind of what it sounds like. It sounds like a secret society, but you focus on their business, and that's awesome.
Yeah, well, it's not so secretive if we're talking about it, is it?
Right. Very open secret society.
Yeah, no. So the reason the number exists, I actually like even numbers better than odd numbers. But 30. So I've been involved in masterminds my entire life. I've been investing millions of dollars over the years in masterminds, coaches, consultants, still do today. But I was in this one group. It was a high end. Everyone's paying $50,000 a person to be in there. Once I seen him hit 33 people, I saw the quality of the group just change drastically. The conversations, the dynamics, the connections. It really just became a number, not like a passion piece. So I was always very for 4 years, I always had the number. If I started a mastermind, I'd never go over 33 people, and it kind of stuck. So I wish I was as smart as the secret society thought process.
Well, no, I think there's a reason why that happens. I mean, a lot of people we've had on this show recently, it's been about putting together your mastermind, surrounding yourself with people who are smarter than you is the common phrase. In this example, you are the smarter person that people surround themselves with. But really, it's just the network of like-minded individuals. And when you combine that, whether it's 33 people or 2 people, right, you're getting just exponential growth, every person that you have in it. So,
yeah, listen, I'm definitely not the smartest guy in the group intellectually. I think what I've done, though, is I'm very clear about that. I'm very smart with a couple pieces, but there's a lot of very smart guys. They're all smart in their own right. One might be marketing it. We're not just in a real estate niche, though. I have guys in there that own media companies. I have guys that own Facebook advertisement companies, guys that are big into apartment complex buildings, like I said, be real estate, guys that are in the finance space, guys that are roofing contractor side of things. So we have people of all types of industries in there. And where I always see the problem with most masterminds is they're very, it's very singular, like, oh, we're a real estate investor mastermind. Well, the problem with that is if everyone has the same problems, and they're all trying to create the same solution, so they don't ever see massive growth. And for me, it's I want to focus on business building. I don't care if you're selling water, real estate, mortgages, whatever. It's business, right? KPIs, business growth, business management. There's a reason Marcus Lemonis is able to do what he does, because it's a formula for business. It's not necessarily what the widget is, or what the product is. It's just, it is what it is.
So what's like, let me ask this and then we'll get into like the nitty gritty of like the lockdown, the quarantine. And, I like to have people on here to tell the world like, hey, this thing's going to pass. Like calm the hell down. If I let's say somebody just joined your group, what is like the number one thing? I'm sure there's a common denominator for a guy that jumps in there and his business is always locked right here. And like, so what could somebody do today that you're like, you're not looking at your business the right way because you should be looking at it like this? And this is common at everybody that pretty much enters day one. I'm sure there's a commonality there.
Well, I mean, I still have constraints, right? We all have constraints. Like we're like, oh, I think it's as big as it can be. Well, where'd that thought come from? So we're very big on thought auditing, because everyone, again, if you're in the real estate space, right? So everyone thinks they're the biggest investor. They do.
Yeah.
I'm the biggest investor. I'm like, you've done 3 deals this month. What do you mean you're the biggest? Like, dude, you're nobody. You're like a drop in the ocean. Like literally no one knows you except your mom and your wife. Like give it a break. It's not that.
That's it.
I think it's more of a reality check, man, honestly. I think great mentors and great coaches don't tell you what you want to hear. They tell you what you need to hear.
Puts that ego in check when you walk through the door.
Yeah, listen, man, I'm not trying to be right. I'm just trying to help. So I mean, if someone, I'll call bullshit on bullshit. Like it's like, dude, like, because they're all saying I'm the biggest, and they're like, I'm like, really go for marketing. I only do word of mouth, dude. You can't be the biggest by just word of mouth marketing. That's not marketing, by the way. That's just an outcome of an activity, i.e., we call it marketing because you're too scared to spend money on marketing. That's what you're really saying.
That's good.
You don't have any KPIs. You don't have any formula. You don't know. So the reason people don't grow is because they don't have any baseline numbers to grow from. They just know they have more money in the bank yesterday than they did today. And
there's no way to measure it.
There's zero measurement, dude. It's rogue, very rogue. You're seeing this starting to happen a lot more now. People are freaking out. You're seeing who the real business owners are right now, with what's going on, as opposed to the guys that were called the business owners. So, the first commonality, again, it's, let's get down to reality. Let's talk ego. Let's talk reality. What do you really want to do? The biggest thing, Ryan and Ian, is the thing is too, is like all these guys are serving their business. I don't want to serve my business. I want my business to serve me. It's a big difference. Way different conversation, way different thought process. How much is my business paying me? Not how much am I giving my business and how much can I pull from it when I need it? There's a formula to that. Profit First is a great book by Mike. He wrote this book, but like there's so many things that I discovered like through the journey. And all these things I'm talking about took me 8-10 years to figure out. And my business is like, I'm like, I don't like feeling this way. Well, I have no money in the bank. But my business has $18,000 in the bank. So I'm going to take $3,000 and go buy something. Feel good for like a nanosecond. And then you're like, oh my God, I'm scared again. What do I do? So I never paid myself. So I talk about paying myself. I don't care if it's $2,000 a month. Just, you got to set up a structure and get in that rhythm. And then you go to $3,000 a month, then $4,000 a month, then $20,000 a month. Like, you have to do it. If you don't do it today, you're never going to do it. It's like the guy or gal that says, oh, I'm going to donate $1 million when I hit $10 million. No, you're not. Because if you can't donate $10 when you make $1,000, it's just a muscle. It's a muscle that we all have to work on that most people aren't even thinking about.
Yeah, that was a concept that my second business, I think I understood somehow, some way it was presented to me in some fashion, but I had to like learn how to pay myself and what that really means, because you think you're doing it, but you're not. Yeah. And then it wasn't until, I built. So, but you're right about the ego. Every day Ryan and I field phone calls that, and I'm somewhere between like being a slave to my business and being I'm somewhere between what you're talking about. I'm not really sure what I want, honestly, if I had to, if you had to answer that question, but it's just so, but we field that question every day, which is everybody calls us looking for money and they're telling us why they're the biggest investor out there. And it's just, I'm like, gosh, damn it. Like even the biggest investor. So I had to have my realization. Of course we all had an ego at some point. And I've been doing everything I can to squash that and I think mine was squashed when I went to sell my property management business. And the guy that bought it, is one of the owns like 30,000 units across the country, worth a couple $1 billion family. And I walk into that room thinking I'm the BSD prior to this moment. And I'm like, oh man, and like you said, you are a speck. No matter how big you are, you're a speck. And everybody accomplishes what they accomplish in their own world, I think, and they have their own, but like, I have not met anybody that I'm like, we are like both top 10 in the world sized investors. Like I'm not Jeff Bezos. This is not happening. So, that's a really interesting concept. So ego gets checked at the door, and that's a really good thing, because once that ego got put aside for me, it allowed me to grow in so many other ways. I was like, Like, what are you doing, Ian? Like, who are you proving this to? Prove it to yourself, like whatever, you know what I mean? So, but let's talk about what we're going through right now. I mean, you got multiple businesses, this craziness, you know, you were in the last cycle, I believe, like 2008, 2009. I'm sure you were working, obviously working through 18. So, you know, what's the differences? What's the same? How have you adapted your businesses, not just real estate? I'm beyond real estate at this point, your businesses to this.
Dude, we're loving it.
Okay.
So, I mean, we've hired I've hired 10 people in the last 3 weeks. Our business profits are up drastically. You know, real estate's still closing. They're doing deals today. They're doing deals tomorrow. Leads are coming in. It's just adapting the conversation to the situation though, right? The truth is you don't, like, say if you have a pipeline of, you know, we have a lot of leads in our funnel, but let's say in the turnkey company or the real estate company, we have, you know, 6,000 leads over the last 12 months. Instead of us just spending more money on more leads, we're going to keep spending money over there, but we're also going to go deep into the funnel and say, hey, times have changed. Are you still selling? Times have changed. Are you still selling? Because we already have these people. We know they're semi-motivated because they hit us up in the last 12 months. Obviously, you're going to start with the 30 days, 60 days, 90 days and kind of scale it back. But so we've nurtured extracted a lot of top leads there. That's in the real estate side. But on the media side, I mean, we're cranking, you know, the biggest thing that I have to do as a leader is talking to my team, letting them know we have money, letting them know we're not going anywhere, and letting them know we're going to keep forging ahead and keep growing. That's our hardest thing. I did it when it first came out. I talked about this recently, like 3 or 4 weeks ago when this news was breaking out. I instantly got on the phone as a leader to my team globally and said, hey guys, we're financially in amazing positions. We have lots of assets. We have lots of cash flow, and we're gonna weather the storm amazing. By the way, we need help. We need to hire these types of people. So again, just reaffirming, like, we're hiring. You're not hiring if you're in trouble. So, you know, we share that. And then I kind of, like, it was fine. Like, you know, they have directors. I'm not really in the businesses. I'm on them. So that all their directors, and I talk to them once every Wednesday from 10:30 to 11:30. They hit me up. One of them did Kathy, and she's like, hey, this girl's freaking out. She thinks she's losing her job. I'm like, how? She's the front line. Her workload is insane right now. And she's like, well, her boyfriend lost her job. Their mom and like, so it's like all the negativity, you're fighting that force. And I'm like, but pick your head up and look at reality. It's not happening. You know, my life has not really changed. Keep in mind, I've been virtual though since 2005. You know, I've been called crazy. I wrote a book about virtual investing in 2007. It wasn't even a thing. Like, I used to have to carry fax machines. You know, we didn't have DocuSign, right signature and all that.
Of course.
So it's a different animal, but now it's like, truth is, you guys know, it's going to be the norm, man. I think this is totally going to change. The new norm is reset 100% for the rest of our life. So now what does new normal look like? You know, I don't know. The only thing I'm not doing is going to the club and having lunch and going to the trainer in the morning and working out in the gym. And truth is, I'm working out harder and I'm eating cleaner. So the benefits are working out for me so far.
I like it. You know, it's funny because the way my business works as well, I'm pretty much like, I've been pretty much quarantined for like years. Like, so I'm like, people are like, how does this change for you? I'm like, honest, like, I swear, and I'm not just joking. Like, almost nothing has changed for me. Yeah, I'm like, you know, I mean, you know, so the only thing that's changed for us probably is that all of our competitors' doors closed. They weren't ready for this, and our business was built a little differently in terms of the way we fund and so forth. So we were ready for it. We were built in 2008, so we were prepared for this moment. Exactly. But other than that, like, my actual day to day is like, I'm like, it's the same damn thing it was yesterday and the day before. So, but yeah, I mean, you setting up virtually in 2005, like, that is way ahead of the curve in terms of, and then, you know, something like this becomes very manageable. You know, brick and mortar gets hurt right now. You know, not all, a lot of brick and mortar gets hurt, but you know, you're set up this way. And it's just really, it's hard, I think. And you probably recognize this, for people to grasp. There's no tangible thing that you're like, you're going to run a business from home. Like, people still have that stigma of like running a business from home, you know, but I think it's becoming so normal at this point because it can be done due to technology. But if you've been doing that for 15 years. Yeah,
the world's going to be different, man. I really think, there's going to be an uprising in work at home stuff. You know, it's compartmentalizing it. Home offices are going to be huge. I think that industry is going to blow up with home offices, stand-up desks, you know, transforming an office. I think probably house.com is probably, you know, everyone's searching how to set up a home office in a cool modern way or whatever. I think I have a buddy and he has 1,100 employees and he has a very beautiful building. And I go off with this guy all the time. I'm like, dude, you got to have your team work from home. You don't need them in the office. I need them there. It's a sales company. I need them there. I need to charge them up. Dude, their profits are double right now. Their team is happier. They're connecting at a higher level, and no one's at the office. Go figure.
Yeah, I mean, you can't put that writing on the wall any better. I think it's a scary thing for a hands-on business owner. That's a scary thing.
Well, again, yeah, it's scary because of the unknown, but now they've been forced to be knowing of what reality could happen. So if you can survive in this time, you're going to thrive at a whole nother level in like once the storm clears,
What do you think? I mean, it's completely speculation. Nobody really knows. But what do you think the fallout is right now? The real estate industry specifically there's a lag to it, right? The only thing we've seen, we don't even have comps from pre-virus yet. So what do you think is going to happen? Like, is this going to take a year to recover? I think we'll see it'll take 3 to 6 months before we see it in the real estate market. There'll be an inventory surge. This is all speculation. And then maybe a year before we can kind of feel ourselves back out. What are your thoughts? What are you seeing across the board?
Yeah, this may sound crazy, dude. I don't speculate. I don't think about. I spend my time on what
I don't either. Yeah. I don't. I'm just doing it for the show, but I don't. Yeah. I don't actually believe speculation. It's bullshit because nobody knows.
No one knows, and what happens? Even if I know, what does that mean? It's all speculation. So I truly think June, July, things kind of they release people and let them get back to normal, the new normal. I think it's weird that people have face masks on. I still haven't put one on.
It drives me nuts. Yeah,
it's just strange to me, but they won't even let my wife goes to the store. They won't even let her in the store unless she has one on now. That's a new thing.
Oh, really? It's being enforced like that in Florida?
Yeah, since
you're
Monday,
in Florida, right?
Yeah, since Monday they said I have a mask on. They won't even let her in if she doesn't have one on. So it's kind of
Florida kind of went from the we don't really care about this to like this is the most important thing in the world. Everybody follow all these rules. So.
Okay. A lot of older people here. I think that's why. Probably a lot of older people.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know what else, but I think it's the most amazing wealth grab happening right before our eyes.
That's right. Yeah.
I think this is the sleight of the hand. Everyone's so focused here. What's really happening is back here, and I'm scared for the future of kids. Like people don't have their shit together. I'm really, really scared of what the world looks like in 20 years from now. I was just talking with someone today. They got their $1,200 and this, and I'm like, what are you going to do with it? Like, I'm genuinely curious. Like, what do you want to do with it? The truth is, everyone I know still has their job. Everyone is staying at home, so they can't spend money, so they have more money in the bank than they've ever had. And then now they just got another $1,200 each if they're a married couple. Now they have an extra 20. Like, most families only have $700 saved. So now you're throwing all this money at these guys and gals, and it's like, let's hope that, and again, this is a big hope, let's hope they do something with it and invest in themselves. I think cell phone sales go up. I think Nike Jordans go up. I think people buy stuff because I truly believe right now we're at the highest. People are so anxious, right? Their insecurities have risen so high because they're at home. They're connecting with themselves. They can't go with their buddies and get wasted and escape reality. Like they literally are at home going bananas. And guys, for us, we've done this already. We've already went through that cycle to be where we're at. You know what I mean? As entrepreneurs, you got to be. We're exposed all the time to ourselves.
Yeah, it's funny you say it. So I think about so Ryan came from I'll just put Ryan on the Ryan. Your mic is muted, by the way. He came from like a 9 to 5, right? Like so the NBC world, and I didn't realize because I've been doing this since I was about 20 or 21. Never really had a boss. You have to create your own self-structure and discipline in your day, which becomes your own quote unquote 9 to 5 that somebody was giving to you. And I didn't realize, and I think people are being forced into the situation right now of self-discipline and what to me came, after so many years, it's just what I do. Ryan, though, I didn't realize this and took it for granted when he first came into this business. He had a really traumatic moment of world shifting. I'm like, dude, just you get up at 6 a.m. This is what you do every day. And it's instead of somebody telling you to do that, it's not that easy, I guess, for most people.
No, it's probably the hardest thing I've had to go through. As hard as that, as weird as that sounds, you're like, really? Leaving a 9 to 5 job was the hardest transition of your life? Yeah, it was. Because honestly, you've been doing it. I mean, for me, it was 30 years. I was doing it for 30 years. I built that habit in. So even though, exactly. From all the way from school, then to your career, right? So whatever the habit is, if you've been doing it for 30 years, whatever the shift is going to be a challenge. And then if you don't have the right people around you, such as yourself, Jay and Chris, our other partners, like I don't think I would have been able to do it. You got to be able to, have the right team around you, preferably people who have been in the situation you've been in, because that way when you are facing these weird challenges that you really can't explain to anyone else, like I can't go and talk to another 9-to-5 job person and they could relate. You could only talk to somebody who's been there.
Yeah.
It's
hard to call the 9-to-5 person and say, hey man, this kind of sucks. I'm sitting at home all day. I don't know what to do.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
You know what it is? I have a book coming out the 24th of this month, my daughter's birthday, called Magician versus Mule. Everything you're talking about is programming, right? It's the Mule mindset. Wake up, like school system operates. That's how they built this. That's why great employees are A students, because they want to be rewarded. They like the structure. They need the box because that's how they get rewarded, and they want to check it off and they want to get an A.
Yep.
Entrepreneurs, why most entrepreneurs are great entrepreneurs, because they're CD students from my experience, most of them. It's because we don't need the structure. Like, dude, we're so scattered, like, if you will. But the Magician versus Mule thing it's a very interesting thing. People I care about greatly in my life are massive mules. And unfortunately, they don't even know they're mules. That's what's even crazier about it.
Well, you ever seen those sayings? Like, sometimes you see it in like movies and stuff where people are like, there's like an alien race comes to take us over or something. And they go, you don't realize that you like to be a slave. And it go, and you're like, oh, no, I don't. But then you realize when you got to break the mold, you go, oh man, are we more comfortable as like slaves to the system? Like, is that our comfort level? Yeah. And I think until you kind of break that box, and when I say break it, I mean in a traumatic fashion. You can't just accept it. You have to do it. And this moment right now in history is going to create a lot of people, I think, in that capacity, not by choice. They're going to go, I'm going to stay with this. I'm going to do this. Why do I have to go to the office today? I can do this via Zoom meeting. It's completely efficient to do what I have to do or whatever it is. So I think we're going to see like a boom of different kind of entrepreneurs that could come out of this, because people are going to realize things they didn't know existed before this moment.
Yeah, listen, I think retirement will look different forever. I think people are sitting at home kind of semi-retired for the last month, and they're like, oh shit, I hate this person, myself. I haven't done anything in life. I'm not proud of it, and this is what retirement is. This is forced upon. By the way, retirement's forced upon you. Like the mule, you're told like at 65, you're done and you're going to enjoy life. That's not the real life. 2-3 weeks, it might be fun for a moment, but then boom, reality sets in. So ideally people are thinking like, oh my God, I've been sold a lie. Retirement's not it. Pursuing your passion and purpose in life is really what it's about. There's no way I'm ever retiring. It's not even a thought. It will never be a thought, because why would you stop doing something you love?
Well, what is retirement at this point? Like,
sense.
It doesn't, like, retirement just means a lack of stimulation from my brain. That's literally all I think. Yeah. And to me, I was just talking on the show yesterday, 2 days ago. I'm like, that is the death of me. Like, literally, that when my brain can't be stimulated, I can even feel it now. When my passion maybe passes or I'm moving on to another passion, that in between phase, I'm like, this is hard.
It's not fun. Yeah. To me, no. when I'm not like thinking something bigger, it's a devil's playground, man. It's a devil's playground. That I start picking fights with my wife for no reason.
Right.
Picking everything. I'm fighting myself. I'm eating bad. I'm not working out, but I'm going to get to it in a minute. But I'm going to finish this. Like, it's like a weird cycle, and if you don't get out of it, it's the death for sure.
And that's what I pictured. That's what exactly. What was it called? Magicians to Mules, or what? Sorry, say it again.
Yeah, Magician versus Mule. It'll be out.
Let me put that up. I like that.
It'll be out.
That concept is beautiful.
Is it out already, Mark? Or
it'll be out April 24th.
Oh, coming up. Nice.
Yeah, so it's my daughter's birthday. She'll be 1 year old, so I wanted to kind of do a book launch on her birthday. I've done it.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I'm excited for it, man. I've had this book done for a while, and I'm kind of thinking about it, like how to position it. It's perfect right now. The mules are like realizing, like, right, we don't know we're a mule until someone says it. A fish doesn't know they're a fish until they know they're a fish. Like they're not going to climb the rope. They're a fish. They can't. So there's this mindset that goes behind this mule concept about, it's just, we're told to sit down, shut up, raise your hand, get A's. If you don't get A's, you can't go to a good school. Like, it's all these weird things they do to us. They program us, I call it thought auditing, but like our thoughts are not our thoughts. They're borrowed thoughts from other people, and we believe some of them. We don't believe others. And as we develop, a lot of people stop learning. I'm not saying we do, but like I'm learning every day. I know not. The more I learn, the more I realize I know absolutely nothing. That's the truth.
So, well, okay. So devil's advocate to that. And then maybe you address this in the book, so I don't want to ruin it, but like, so the people and then maybe that were in our state of mind 200 years ago, right? Or your state of mind 200 years ago. At some point we would have to leverage time and other people. So the only way you can create that workforce, right, is what we have. So then you go, does that actually benefit the majority of society? Because most people aren't set out to achieve it, or are people too afraid to say, maybe there's a different way to not be a mule? Because is the mule the necessary evil in the cog of the wheel, whether we like it or not?
Oh, there's always going to be mules, without a doubt. You know, listen, you're going to have 18-year-old kids that want to be a mule. The truth is, I like being a mule. I love hard work. You know, where I come from, if you shake someone's hand, they don't have calluses, they're lazy. They're mama's boy. You know, so I love being a mule. The difference is now I know when I'm muling. You know, it's not that I don't still mule sometimes, but if I'm muling for a purpose, hey, you know, I'm working really hard because in a year I'm going to have this from it, I'm cool with that. The mule conversation that I'm having is people that I love the most, my parents, my sisters, all of them, dude, they're muling forever to retire. That's their end goal, 65 retirement. That's a problem because
I like that concept. I like that. You get recognizing that moment.
It's like a professional athlete, dude. You're at your peak and you have to retire. There's never a professional athlete that hasn't went through a dramatic emotional experience. I have some buddies that are in that space. Like when they get retired, they're like 27 years old. They've played ball their whole life and now they're got to retire. Like you're at your peak, you're at your best, you're at your moment, and you got boom. They muled it. And what do? They can't go play ball. They're retired. So
I've heard that's a traumatic experience for those guys.
Yeah, it's very traumatic. Like, could you imagine you getting called today and say, "Hey, man, you got to stop what you're doing. You got to go sit in your house and figure out the next path." Like we'd be, what are you talking about?
Lights out. I mean, that's it. Just lights out. Yeah. Especially when you add all the notoriety, the fame, all the things that you're used to, and then all that is a decline, right? So like even the most famous athletes, even the Michael Jordan, him walking into a restaurant has a different effect today than it did 20 years. Now his decline is a little bit less, but you know, it's all downhill from that moment for you. And I feel like not just as a professional athlete, but that's just an amplified version of like the average anybody. Right. The moment you retire, your significance in society and to yourself will inevitably decline if you pull that switch.
Identity crisis at the highest level, man.
Yeah. Perfect. There you go. Identity crisis. I'll tell you what, I'm extremely fascinated by you. So I could talk to you for literally like all day, but I don't know what your clock looks like. And you know, what do you got going? I guess you're quarantined. You're sitting at home. So what's next on your agenda? Like so we're talking about passion. So what are you focused on right now? What has your attention?
Yeah, well, my businesses, all of them, I'm trying to get them tighter, stronger, bigger, better. I'm looking at acquiring some stuff right now. I'm in negotiations in 2 big companies. I want to buy. I want to acquire to grow. Like as an entrepreneur, we think we have to start everything. Yeah. The hardest part in business is the first 3 to 5, 6 years, right? So why not buy 6, 7, 8, 10-year companies? Because they've already went through all the struggle. Again, it's that mule mentality. Us as creators, we got to create this. Well, I figured out I just want to buy it.
Are you buying a business? Are you looking at businesses that you've already built so you know what you're looking for to acquire them? Or are you looking at totally new industries?
Yeah, I'm buying businesses that are in alignment with my core companies that I can enhance. You know,
perfect.
So you know, I'm in the media space. I would buy a financial newsletter because I could serve that newsletter space or supplement space or whatever. Because I already have direct clients in that environment. But to me, it's like I don't have to create development. I don't have to create the products. I don't have to create the lines. I don't have to create the letters and the autoresponders. Like I'm literally just going to package it up and buy into cash flow today. Kind of what you do when you buy an apartment complex, right? You buy an apartment complex, you're buying cash flow today. It's already built. You're ready to go. You don't have to pull the permits, build it up, and all that. 2 years later, have something. I'm just trying to expedite now my growth. The truth is, I'm just trying to buy time. Is really what I'm doing.
Which we're all doing, right? We're all buying. Yeah. We're all buying as much time as we can because that's only a renewable resource. So the most valuable.
Sure. So I'm focusing on my health. I'm focused on my future wealth with my fiduciaries. You know, my thing is my wife. If I die, my wife would have no clue what we do. I do it every day, and I still barely know what I do all day. Because I have a lot of moving pieces. A lot of money's coming in and out. The goal is have more coming in than going out. So it's like, setting that up. I'm 41. I'll be 42 in June this year. I have 2 kids, 5-year-old, one almost 5, one almost 1. So I'm just trying to be a great steward of wealth, honestly, not to give to my kids, by the way. I don't want them to get any money. I want to teach them how to create wealth and how to be like great human beings in the society and build their own path. I want them to struggle. Struggle is like, it's what makes us, right? It's how you deal with it, how you push forward. So I don't want to be that guy that leaves their kids a bunch of money and they just become degenerates. So that's what I'm working on, man. Like I said, my life's not really changed, so it's hard to. Nothing's really different except I'm working harder right now because I think you got to double down in these moments to keep busy, to keep focused. I think you're going to come out one side. You're either going to come out ahead of the game or behind the game, and I'm so afraid to be behind the game. I'm trying to, suffocate the negativity with activity.
Yeah, that's an interesting being behind the game. That's like a fear of mine. That I if I had to really sit down and boil it, probably now is a good time to like introspectively think of why. But man, that fear drives me, like really drives me. Like I can't let somebody get ahead of me, or like this is the time where somebody else is getting ahead of me if I'm not careful. So then I do the things to make sure I'm getting ahead of somebody else. That fear, I don't know if it's a good thing or bad thing, but I've always had it my whole career. Is like
it's never going away, man. It never goes away for people like us. I'm telling you, I've worked with a lot of people. I'm afraid of going broke every day. I think every time my heart hurts, I feel like I'm having a heart attack. I'm going to die and I got to get my shit together. Like fear drives us. It doesn't stop us. See, the difference is most people, when they have fear, they just stop and they move on and act like it's not there. Fear actually drives us. It's something that wakes us up. It's something that we don't want to go to sleep with. And it pushes us because I think there's another side to fear that, where we would never want to be.
Yeah. I mean, I think fear is an awesome tool if you use it properly, meaning if you turn that fear into your focus and you start saying, I'm going to go broke, I'm only focusing on broke, then you're going to go broke. But if you use it as, I don't want to go broke, so I'm going to do everything I can to go the opposite direction of broke. Mm-hmm. And then you just focus on everything you can to succeed. That's when you're using fear as a great motivator. As long as it doesn't become your focus, that's when you're using it right.
Yeah, man. Honestly, man, I grew up poor. My parents are like I didn't grow up broke financially, like in my brain. Like my parents are great people. They said, Mark, you can do whatever you want, do all this stuff. Say what great parents say. But financially, we just did not have big means. But back then was different, right? 95, 96, we didn't have the internet. Like we didn't know what anybody else really had except in our little town. So we were pretty comparable to everyone else. So I always respected and appreciated my mom and dad on that side because they were just great people and they taught me good stuff, like do the right thing, be a hard worker, blah, 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 blah. But for a fear, like as I started realizing, like, if I could just make $100,000 a year, then I make $100,000 a year. I'm like, if I could just make $1 million a year, then you make, it's like this weird thing. I was so afraid of what I knew, not what I didn't know. I see so many people stop when they're like, well, how can you be afraid of the unknown? I still don't understand it, but I knew what I had and I knew I didn't want it. So I was more excited about that, taking the step to go after what I wanted as opposed to what I already had.
I like it. Yeah, I think fear for me has always been, I think, a motivator in the way that like it's always made me run the other direction from fear. So like if like Ryan said, if being broke is my fear, I am way more comfortable taking any action to get away from broke. That's just how it's always been for me. And like the more action I take away from broke, the more comfortable I become. Yep. And that's always been, I never really looked at, you're right. People either fight, flight, or freeze or whatever it is, right? Yeah. So if you freeze, which is, I guess there's a lot of people, I never really thought about it. It's just how I reacted since I was a little kid. Like this scares me, take whatever action you have to get away from it. Or fight it. Like I also fight. Like I'm not afraid to take something head on, to be like, this is what needs to be addressed to do that. I think I have less fight in me now, maybe than I did 10 years ago, but maybe I just choose different fights.
I was gonna say, you just pick your different fights. We're getting a little smarter. That's the goal. Yeah,
a little bit smarter. But kids do that. Kids change. You see, you have some young kids too. I have a 4-year-old and a 1.5-year-old. So like your world just boom, and it's such a good way too. Holy. When I first before I had kids, I actually checked because I'm like, look, I'm an entrepreneur. You're an entrepreneur. We were very selfish individuals, whether people want to admit it or not. And I was very aware of that. And I'm like, man, I don't know if I want this kid coming in and like jacking up my time. I like my time when I want my time, but my wife was like, I'm having kids, whether it's with you or with somebody else. So you choose. And I was like, all right, I guess we're having kids. And then it was, but then it was the greatest thing ever. I'm sure you'd say the exact same thing. And
I'm still trying to figure out what I did with all my time before kids.
Right. Yeah. So I'm like trying to and then I don't know, your life becomes so much more, such a better reason to like you said, the thoughts you're having in your brain are things that I've recently just gone through as well, which is like, how do I pass this down? How do I make sure I instill this. Well, it really became truly not about me, but I was able to retain all the drive and reasons and things at a foundational level. So people ask about
motivation, man. My kids motivate me more than they'll ever know until they have kids, right?
Did you make more money when you had kids? Did you make more money after having kids?
Well, I keep making money every year, more money every year. So the answer is yes, I hope. I'm trying to think. But yeah, I mean, things are good, but they're watching. I always think like they're watching. You're either talking. Your kids are going to wake up one day and say, "Mom and Dad, you're full of shit," or "Wow, Mom and Dad, you're right." Because again, it's like there's a lot of talkers out there. It's like, man, I work my butt off. I work out really hard. Well, Dad, why are you 400 pounds? You're a liar. Eventually, they call your lies. And they'll love you. It's not that they don't love you. It's just like, you're lying to them. And not only you're lying to them, you're actually like, they're going to call you out. So I'm very conscious of that. Like, for example, like you don't even think they're watching and I'll walk by and I'll smack my wife on the butt or leg or whatever. 13 seconds later, my son's in there, smacks her on the butt because he sees Dad do it.
Yeah.
So like, if they're just watching that little thing, everything you talk to see, if I spit, my son will spit like me and get in trouble. Like, it's just silly stuff, but it's not silly. This is big stuff. And like, so my actions, I try to be very conscious of that. Even when I'm doing this, he's in the other room. Just think about the conversations these kids hear, as an entrepreneur.
Oh my God. Yeah. I try to like promote being around them, hearing that, good, bad, or indifferent. I want them to hear that. And at some level that is being embedded in them. I'm sure you believe the same thing.
So it's like, I'm excited for that because I always think anytime I don't want to, first I'll never tell my kids I'm tired, I can't go play with them, even though last night was one of those nights I was dead tired. And they're like, Dad, let's jump, let's play. I'm like, all right, let's go. Because it's like, I want it, like, whoever said this is easy is a liar. This is not easy. This takes a lot of work. But I see people, they just peter out and they just like, oh, I'm tired. But if you say that once, you're going to say it again and again and again. And unfortunately, that's a common trait that happens with a lot of people. They're lazy, they're tired, they're sick. We're all tired. I don't want to be here. You don't want to be here. We got to be here though.
Yeah.
So I could be hanging out at the pool, but like that doesn't serve the bigger purpose of where we're trying to go with our mission and vision.
Yeah, I think that laser focus, people talk about laser focus, but it really comes down to the action you take every second of the day. It's almost like it becomes this subconscious actionable item that you're just like, you couldn't, at this point you could say, well, why are you doing this, marketing piece with Mark? And I'm like, I don't really have to think about it. I just know this is fitting the bigger picture of where I have to go. There was nothing else to do at this moment that I felt was more important towards that bigger picture. I think when you have to measure that in the beginning, though, that's a little tricky for people. But at some point, every action that you take, it's either in line with your goal or not in line. If it's not, that's something with myself and Ryan, just a family trait is like, we are extremely efficient individuals from what I can, and as student, like people will confuse that with laziness with us. Yeah. And I'm like, no, I'm like, if 1 ounce of this conversation isn't, or this, whatever I'm doing isn't moving me towards my goal, it's moving me away from it. Yeah. So that efficiency is like, so it's a really fine line, I think sometimes, because like, sometimes we'll be like, yo, we're not doing it. Why would I do that? People are like, dude, you just got to work a little bit harder or whatever. I'm like, it's not working harder, because I would consider myself one of the hardest working people I've ever met, but I'm definitely not I'm also one of the most efficient as far as I know. I'm sure there's another level to that, but it's a personality trait that I find is really important, which I'm sure is like when you talk about muling, your level of like quote unquote muling, your efficiency level of what you do, which is far supersedes, the stuff that I've done. Your muling is, if somebody were to watch it, is a highly efficient form of work for you, as opposed to like, you're not grinding. Your muling isn't necessarily sweeping floors, right? Your muling is shifting so much in an efficient manner towards building a business in a short period of time. But to you, it's muling because, you're working at that point.
You're in the weeds. Yeah, you're in the weeds. Like you're doing the work. I think the biggest problem is some people trying to figure out how to quantify everything. Mm-hmm. A lot of the stuff, like right now, what we're doing, we have no clue if this will ever do anything, but we know it's the only thing we should be doing. So if you're trying to look, this is why most people don't join masterminds or invest in themselves, because they don't have a quantifying effect. Like I spent $35,000. Okay, how much did I make back from that? Well, maybe nothing today. Maybe nothing in 6 weeks, 6 months. But just being around it and being ingrained in it, boom, you do $400,000, $700,000. Your business becomes more efficient. You become a better dad, or like all these other things that happen. How do you equate it? And I think this is what people struggle with, because there's no direct correlation of the action, immediate action.
It is weird that when you say that, when I think about our businesses, because each one, I've had businesses at different success levels, and like, ultimately like the lending that I do now is like, exactly what you said. We just call it the snowball effect. Eventually you're just like, look, and I can tell you it's weird because I can be like, you know, we can spend money on that. We'll 10x that pretty quickly, or 4x it, whatever number we're trying to get to. And it's like, well, how do you know that? Just like, I don't know. I just do. I just know. Like, that's just what's going to happen with that money. And it might take 6 months, might take 8 months. And the same thing, you can take something that seems very similar and be like, that's a waste of money. Don't do it. And I maybe you think it's like an experience thing, because it's right. It's not tangible. I can't give you the exact measurement, but I can tell you it will happen. What is that? What do you equate that to? Never really.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think experience has something to do with it, but I'm more afraid to be. The truth is, I feel like I haven't done anything, right? Like I'm just getting started. So, you know, I don't know if it's like, it's just that gut feeling, you know, no, it won't work. Here's why. And they're like, well, that doesn't make sense. I'm like, it doesn't make sense to me, but I just know it's not going to work, you know? But I think it's also knowing where I'm going too. I think a lot of people just don't know where they're really going. So they could spend money, even if they're getting there, they don't even know they're closer to the goal because they don't really have a definition of the goal, if you will. You know,
so you got way too much information, man. You got way too much information. That's interesting. Well, let me ask you this, Mark. What, like, so we'll probably wrap up, but I want to know what, you know, I have your book scrolling at the bottom, which I think is going to be cool for people to see. Hundreds of thousands of, so specifically in our market, there'll be hundreds of thousands of localized investors in our distribution list.
Philadelphia, right? Philly?
Yeah, so we do Philly, South Jersey, Maryland, DC, Delaware. That's my space.
Awesome. Okay.
You don't go outside. That's what we know. But like, what can you accomplish, or what could you gain out of this that would help you, or, you know, besides saying hi to the guys in my market space that know you?
In regards to what, like the people we're talking to right now?
Anything, like people want to contact you to get to join your boot camps, you know, or not your boot camp. That's a shitty word for what you have. Your mastermind. Yeah, boot camp is a shitty word.
No, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, follow me on Instagram at Mark Evans DM. I share daily talks from the walks. I'm always dropping knowledge and information. I don't really have anything to sell. All my proceeds of my books go to charity. You know, at the end of the day, listen, I want to wake up 10 years from now with a bigger network than I had 10 years today. So keep growing, keep sharing. I might meet you. You might know someone like, oh man, you should know this guy. And, you know, like that's how business works. I have money. I have opportunity sometimes. I have money sometimes. Sometimes I don't. Like we're all one deal away from being broke. So the more people we know have more money or more opportunities or, you know, just good people. You know, it never hurts to have good people in your corner when at all times, I guess, really.
Well, I love it, man. You're true to your word, and I think I read somewhere you call it as you see it. So I can read between the lines. So you're a very authentic individual. So I appreciate you coming on, and I'm sure we'll do this again. And I really have been looking forward to this. And thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you, guys.
Nice. Take care.
Take care. Thanks, Mark.